I'm about to share data from 500 couples around the world that reveals the actual average length of intercourse. And I guarantee the number is going to surprise you. Most men think they should be lasting way longer than what's actually normal. And that pressure is absolutely destroying their confidence and ruining their sex lives. So stay with me, because what you're about to learn might completely change how you think about sexual performance. I'm Dr. Eva Danielle, your trusted men's health advisor, and today we're diving into real-time data on how long sex actually lasts. Not what porn shows you, not what your buddies brag about, the truth. And then I'm going to show you what actually matters when it comes to satisfying a woman. Hit that subscribe button, because this is information every man needs to hear. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. In modern society, we spend enormous amounts of time glorifying what sex should look like and how long it should last. Porn has completely warped expectations. Guys in locker rooms exaggerate. Social media makes it seem like everyone else is going for hours. And all this pressure can have a real detrimental impact on your confidence and your relationships. What you hear about sexual performance is almost never accurate, particularly when it comes to how long men actually last in bed. So here's the truth, backed by real-time data on what the average length of intercourse actually is. Now, before I give you the numbers, it's important to define what we're measuring here. In this particular study, they're specifically measuring penetrative sex from the moment of initial penetration to ejaculation. In medical terms, we call this intravaginal ejaculatory latency time. This does not include foreplay, oral sex, or anything else. Just penetration to finish. And look, that doesn't mean that's what sex should be for you. Sex is about the entire experience. The connection, the intimacy, the build-up. But for the purposes of understanding what's actually normal versus what you think is normal, we need to define it clearly. So what do men think the ideal length should be? Here's where it gets interesting. On average, men estimate that the ideal length of penetrative intercourse should be about 16 minutes. 16 minutes. And they think the actual average, what most men are doing, is about 9 minutes. But here's where the data tells a completely different story. Researchers studied 500 couples from around the world and had them use an actual stopwatch to time their intercourse from penetration to ejaculation. No guessing, no estimating, real data. And what did they find? The average length was 5.7 minutes. Not 16 minutes, not 9 minutes. 5.7 minutes. That's it. Under 6 minutes of actual penetration. Now, there was a range. Some couples were at the very low end, 0.1 minutes, which obviously indicates premature ejaculation issues. Others went as long as 55 minutes. But the average? 5.7 minutes. And interestingly, it varied by location. Turkey had the lowest average at 4.4 minutes, while the UK had the longest at about 10 minutes. But globally, under 6 minutes is completely normal. So if you've been beating yourself up thinking you should be lasting 15, 20, 30 minutes, you need to hear this loud and clear. Most men are lasting around 5 to 6 minutes of penetration. That's normal. That's average. And if you're hitting that range, you're doing just fine. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. What do women actually want? There's no perfect scientific study on this, but a poll of 4,000 women found that the average desired length of penetrative intercourse was 25 minutes. 25 minutes. So there's clearly a gap between what's actually happening, 5.7 minutes, and what women say they want, 25 minutes. And before you panic and think you're inadequate, let me explain what's really going on here. These numbers are highly variable from person to person. Some women genuinely do want longer sessions of penetration, but many women, when they say they want 25 minutes, are actually talking about the entire sexual experience. Foreplay, connection, build-up, penetration, and aftercare. What most women are really saying is, I don't want you to rush through this. I want to feel connected. I want adequate foreplay. I want to feel desired. They're not necessarily saying they want 25 minutes of straight penetration. They want the overall experience to last longer and feel more connected. And here's the critical truth that most men miss. If you're lasting 5 to 6 minutes of penetration, but you've spent 15 to 20 minutes on foreplay, building her arousal, focusing on her pleasure, making her feel desired and connected, she's going to be far more satisfied than if you lasted 20 minutes of mechanical penetration with no foreplay and no emotional connection. Duration of penetration matters far less than the overall quality of the sexual experience. And that comes down to understanding her arousal cycle, paying attention to her pleasure, and communicating about what actually feels good for both of you. Now, if you are struggling with premature ejaculation, consistently finishing in under a minute or two, that's worth addressing. There are real, effective solutions. Pelvic floor exercises can dramatically improve your control. Behavioral techniques like the start-stop method work for many men. And if needed, there are medications and topical treatments that can help. On the flip side, if you're taking an extremely long time to finish, consistently over 20 or 30 minutes, that can also be an issue. It might be related to medications you're taking, death grip syndrome from excessive masturbation, or other factors. And honestly, most women don't find 30+ minutes of penetration comfortable or pleasurable. It can become painful or tedious. But here's the bottom line. The data shows that average penetrative intercourse lasts around 5.7 minutes, not the 15 or 20 minutes you think you should be lasting. So stop comparing yourself to some impossible standard that doesn't even exist in reality. Focus instead on the overall quality of the sexual experience. Are you spending adequate time on foreplay? Are you paying attention to her responses? Are you communicating about what feels good? Are you making her feel desired and connected? Those factors matter infinitely more than whether you last 5 minutes or 15 minutes of penetration. And this is where communication becomes absolutely critical. Most men have never learned how to talk to a woman about what she actually wants in bed. They're guessing based on porn, based on previous partners, or based on assumptions. And that guessing game is killing sexual satisfaction for both partners. The most confident, skilled lovers are the ones who know how to ask the right questions and create a space where she feels comfortable being honest about what feels good. That's why I put together a free guide called 20 Best Sexual Questions to Ask a Woman. These aren't awkward, clinical questions. These are conversation starters that build emotional intimacy, reveal what she genuinely desires, and eliminate all the guesswork. You can download it for free in the description below. Here's what you need to remember. The average length of penetrative intercourse is 5.7 minutes. Most men dramatically overestimate how long sex should last. What matters far more than duration is the overall experience, the foreplay, the connection, the attention to her pleasure, and the communication about what feels good. If you're hitting that 5 to 6 minute average and both you and your partner are satisfied, you're succeeding. Stop putting pressure on yourself to perform like a porn star. Focus on being present, attentive, and connected. If you're struggling with premature ejaculation and it's causing problems, there are solutions. Pelvic floor exercises, behavioral techniques, and medical options if needed. Don't just accept it, address it. And download that free guide, 20 Best Sexual Questions to Ask a Woman, in the description below. Use those questions to open up real conversations about pleasure and preferences. That communication will improve your sexual connection far more than trying to add extra minutes to your penetration time. Remember, sexual satisfaction isn't a solo achievement. It's a shared experience built on trust, communication, and genuine connection. When you prioritize your partner's emotional and physical needs alongside your own, you create an environment where both of you can truly thrive. The numbers don't define you as a lover. Your attentiveness, empathy, and willingness to learn and adapt do. So let go of the unrealistic expectations. Embrace the reality of what's normal and focus on what really counts. Creating meaningful, pleasurable moments together that strengthen your bond and leave both of you feeling valued and fulfilled. Now, Let's dive deeper into why this performance anxiety develops in the first place and how you can actually overcome it. You see, the root of most sexual anxiety in men comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of what women actually find satisfying. We've been conditioned by culture, media, and yes, especially pornography, to believe that sexual prowess is measured in minutes and inches. But that's not how real intimacy works. Think about it this way. When you remember your most meaningful sexual experiences, what stands out? Is it the exact number of minutes you lasted? Or is it the connection you felt, the way your partner looked at you, the vulnerability you shared, the laughter, the intensity of the moment? I'm willing to bet it's the latter. And the same is true for your partner. Women's sexual satisfaction is far more complex than a simple timer. Research consistently shows that emotional connection, feeling desired, adequate foreplay, and overall attentiveness are the primary factors that determine whether a woman enjoys sex. In fact, studies have found that women who report high levels of sexual satisfaction often have partners who last anywhere from 3 to 13 minutes, a huge range that proves duration isn't the magic ingredient. What really makes a difference is your ability to read her body, respond to her cues, and create an atmosphere where she feels safe to express what she wants. This requires presence. You can't be present if you're in your head counting minutes, worrying about performance, or trying to think about baseball to last longer. That disconnection is actually what kills intimacy, not the amount of time you last. Let me share something that might surprise you. Many women actually prefer shorter sessions of penetration when accompanied by generous foreplay. Why? Because extended penetration without adequate lubrication and arousal can become uncomfortable or even painful. The vaginal canal isn't designed for endless friction. What it responds to beautifully, however, is variety, rhythm changes, different types of stimulation, and most importantly, a partner who's genuinely engaged and responsive. This brings us to a crucial topic that doesn't get discussed enough: the importance of foreplay. And I'm not talking about 2 minutes of obligatory touching before moving to penetration. I'm talking about genuinely investing time in building arousal, creating anticipation, and focusing on her pleasure without any agenda. Here's a perspective shift that could transform your sex life. Stop thinking of foreplay as something you have to get through to reach the main event. For many women, foreplay is the main event. The kissing, touching, oral sex, the building tension. This is where much of their pleasure and satisfaction comes from. When you approach sex with this mindset, suddenly the pressure about lasting longer during penetration evaporates because you've already ensured she's thoroughly satisfied. Think about the average woman's arousal pattern. While men tend to become aroused quickly and reach peak arousal fairly rapidly, women's arousal typically builds more gradually. It's not better or worse, just different. Rushing through foreplay to get to penetration is like skipping the first 3/4 of a great movie. You miss all the context, the build-up, and the emotional investment that makes the climax meaningful. What does good foreplay look like? It starts long before you're in the bedroom. It's the way you make her feel valued throughout the day. It's genuine compliments, sharing household responsibilities, listening when she talks about her day. Small gestures of affection. All of this contributes to her feeling desired and connected to you, which directly impacts her sexual responsiveness. In the bedroom, good foreplay means slowing down. It means kissing without immediately reaching for erogenous zones. It means touching her entire body, not just the obvious spots. It means paying attention to how she responds. Does she arch her back when you kiss her neck? Does her breathing change when you touch her inner thighs? These responses are communication, and tuning into them makes you a better lover than any technique or duration ever could. And here's something many men don't realize. Asking what she wants is incredibly attractive. It doesn't kill the mood. It shows confidence and genuine care. A simple, "Does this feel good?" or "What would you like me to do?" demonstrates that you're focused on her pleasure, not just following some script you think you're supposed to perform. Now, let's address another critical factor in sexual satisfaction: the mental and emotional state you bring to sex. If you're approaching every sexual encounter with anxiety about performance, that anxiety becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Stress and anxiety trigger your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response, which actually works against sexual function. It can lead to premature ejaculation or, conversely, difficulty maintaining an erection or reaching climax at all. Breaking this cycle requires a fundamental shift in how you think about sex. Instead of viewing it as a performance where you're being evaluated, try seeing it as a collaborative experience where both of you are exploring pleasure together. There's no pass or fail. There's no specific outcome you must achieve. There's just two people connecting and enjoying each other. This mindset shift isn't just philosophical. It has real physiological effects. When you're relaxed and present, your parasympathetic nervous system activates, which supports healthy sexual function. Your body works better when your mind isn't sabotaging it with performance pressure. One practical technique for staying present during sex is mindful awareness. Instead of thinking about how long you've been going or whether you're doing it right, focus on the sensations you're experiencing right now. Notice the feeling of skin against skin, the sound of breathing, the warmth, the connection. When anxious thoughts arise, and they will, acknowledge them without judgment and gently return your attention to the present moment. Another powerful tool is breathing. Most men hold their breath or breathe shallowly during sex, especially when they're trying to last longer. This actually increases tension and can accelerate ejaculation. Instead, practice deep, rhythmic breathing. It keeps you relaxed, helps you stay present, and gives you much better control. Let's also talk about the relationship context, because sexual satisfaction doesn't exist in a vacuum. The quality of your overall relationship has an enormous impact on sexual connection. Unresolved conflicts, lack of emotional intimacy, poor communication, resentment, all of these show up in the bedroom, no matter how good your technique is. This is why the most satisfying sexual relationships are typically those built on a foundation of friendship, respect, and open communication. When you feel genuinely connected to your partner outside the bedroom, that connection naturally enhances your sexual experiences. You feel safer being vulnerable, more comfortable expressing desires, and more attuned to each other's needs. Finally, I want to address something crucial. If you're genuinely struggling with sexual function, whether it's premature ejaculation, delayed ejaculation, or erectile difficulties, there's no shame in seeking help. These are medical issues with real solutions, not character flaws or indicators of your worth as a man or a partner. A conversation with a healthcare provider can help identify whether there are physical factors at play, such as hormonal imbalances, medication side effects, or other health conditions. They can also guide you toward evidence-based treatments, whether that's pelvic floor therapy, behavioral techniques, medication, or counseling. The bottom line is this: the myth that you need to last 20 or 30 minutes is exactly that, a myth. Real sexual satisfaction is built on connection, communication, generosity, presence, and mutual pleasure. When you shift your focus from duration to quality, from performance to presence, everything changes. You'll enjoy sex more, your partner will enjoy it more, and you'll build the kind of intimate connection that makes both of you excited to be together. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves because you're worth it.